Sri Lanka is a beautiful island. It is located in the Indian Ocean. For centuries, it has been a very important place. The island was known by many names. The ancient Greeks called it Taprobane. The Arabs called it Serendib. Its location was perfect for ships traveling between the east and the west. This made Sri Lanka a center for ancient trade. Merchants came from Rome, Persia, India, and China. They came to buy and sell valuable goods. The island was famous for its precious gems, spices, and pearls. It was a hub of international commerce and culture. The history of Sri Lanka is very long and rich. It goes back more than 2,500 years. Great kingdoms rose and fell on this island. Cities like Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa were centers of power and religion. These kingdoms built amazing temples and large irrigation systems. The island's strategic position on the sea routes meant that it was always connected to the world. This connection brought not only goods, but also new ideas, technologies, and people. The story of Sri Lanka's coins is a big part of this history. The coins tell us about the island's kings, its economy, and its relationship with other countries. Gold has always been a special metal in Sri Lanka. The island itself was not a major source of gold, but gold flowed into the country through trade. It was a symbol of wealth, power, and divinity. Kings used gold to show their importance. Temples were decorated with gold to honor the gods. The creation of gold coins was a natural step for a prosperous nation. These coins were not just money. They were statements of sovereignty and stability. They showed that the kingdom was strong and its ruler was powerful. Studying these gold coins helps us understand the golden ages of Sri Lanka's past. This essay will explore the complete history of Sri Lanka's gold coins. We will start from the very beginning. We will look at the first forms of money used on the island. Then, we will travel through time to see the first gold coins being made. We will examine the famous coins of great kings. We will learn about their designs, their weights, and their meanings. We will also see how these coins were used in daily life, in trade, and in religious ceremonies. By the end, we will understand why these small pieces of gold are so important to Sri Lanka's history and why people still treasure them today. Long before gold coins were made, people in Sri Lanka still needed to trade. They used different things as money. The earliest form of currency was likely the barter system. One person would trade goods directly for other goods. For example, a farmer might trade a bag of rice for some clay pots. This system worked for small communities. But as trade grew and became more complex, a better system was needed. People needed something that was easy to carry and had a known value. This led to the use of early forms of money, which were simpler than coins, but very important for the economy. The first major type of currency in Sri Lanka was the punch-marked coin. These coins came from India around the 4th or 3rd century BCE. They were not round like modern coins. They were small, flat pieces of silver. They were made by cutting a sheet of silver into pieces. Each piece was then stamped with several different symbols. These symbols could be animals, plants, or geometric shapes. These coins did not have the name of a king on them. The symbols were a guarantee of the coin's weight and purity. Many of these coins have been found at ancient sites in Sri Lanka, showing early trade links with India. Another early form of money was the Lakshmi plaque. These were rectangular pieces of copper or bronze. On one side, they had a figure of the goddess Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth and prosperity. She was often shown standing on a lotus flower, with elephants on either side. These plaques were cast in molds, not struck like later coins. They were used widely in Sri Lanka for several centuries, starting from around the 2nd century BCE. They show that religious beliefs were already being connected with money. People believed that using these plaques could bring them good fortune. These early forms of currency set the stage for the introduction of gold coins. They taught people the concept of using a standardized item for trade. Punch-marked coins established the idea of a guaranteed weight and value. the Lakshmi plaques introduced the practice of putting important cultural and religious images on money. These developments were crucial. They prepared the society and the economy for the next big step. When the time was right, the transition to using a more valuable and prestigious metal like gold was a logical progression for the prosperous kingdoms of ancient Sri Lanka. The first gold coins in Sri Lanka appeared during the Anuradhapura kingdom. This was a powerful and long-lasting kingdom. The introduction of gold coins happened around the 7th or 8th century CE. These first gold coins are known as Kahavanu. The name comes from the ancient Pali language and means a coin of a certain value. This was a very important moment in Sri Lanka's history. It showed that the kingdom had become very wealthy and stable. The king had enough power and resources to issue a currency made from the most precious metal known at the time. These early gold coins are often called Pala or Ganga type coins. Their design was very unique and abstract. On one side, there was a standing human figure. The figure was very stylized, made of lines and dots. The figure is shown wearing a long robe. On the other side, there was a seated figure. This figure was also very stylized and was shown sitting on a low stool or throne. These designs were not new. They were copied from the coins of the Pallava and Ganga dynasties of South India. This shows the strong cultural and trade connections between Sri Lanka and southern India during that period. The Kahavanu coins were not just one type. There were different sizes. The largest was the full Kahavanu, which weighed about 4.4 grams. This was the standard unit. There were also smaller coins. These were fractions of the Kahavanu. There was the Ada Kahavanu, which was half the weight. There was the Diaka, which was a quarter of the weight. And the smallest was the Aka, which was 1/8 of the weight. This system of different denominations made the coins very useful for all kinds of transactions, from large trade deals to small daily purchases. The ruler who introduced these first gold coins is not known for certain. The coins do not have a king's name inscribed on them. Historians believe they were issued by several kings of the later Anuradhapura period. The lack of a name might mean that the design itself was the guarantee of value, not the king's authority. These coins were used for hundreds of years. They became the standard currency of the island. Their discovery in large numbers shows how prosperous the economy was. They were used to pay for goods, to pay soldiers, and to make offerings at temples. The Kahavanu started a golden age of coinage in Sri Lanka. The golden age of Sri Lankan coinage reached its peak during the Polonnaruwa kingdom. The most famous gold coins from this era were issued by King Parakramabahu the Great. He ruled from 1153 to 1186 CE. He was a powerful king who united the island and was famous for his military victories and large construction projects. To manage his vast kingdom's economy, he issued a new type of gold coin. These coins are often called Parakramabahu Masa, or lion-type coins. They were a bit different from the earlier Kahavanu coins and carried the king's name, which was a significant change. The design of Parakramabahu's gold coin was a development of the older Kahavanu style. One side still featured the stylized standing figure. However, the figure was now more detailed. The other side, the reverse, was more complex. It showed the seated figure, but next to it was the king's name written in the Nagari script. The inscription read, Sri Parakrama Bahu. This was very important. It clearly stated who issued the coin. Below the king's name, some versions of the coin featured a small symbol of a lion. The lion is a powerful symbol in Sri Lankan culture, representing the Sinhala people. These gold coins, known as gold massa, had a specific weight and size. They were smaller and lighter than the original Kahavanu. They weighed around 0.5 grams, making them a type of fractional coin. This suggests a change in the economy. Perhaps smaller transactions were more common, or the value of gold had increased. Despite their small size, these coins were made of high-quality gold. Their consistent weight and purity made them a trusted currency. They were used throughout the kingdom for trade and for paying taxes and salaries. Their small size also made them easy to carry and store. The legacy of Parakramabahu's gold masa is immense. After his reign, many other rulers of Polonnaruwa and later kingdoms copied his coin design. Kings like Nisankamala, Sahasamala and Lilavati issued coins that looked very similar. They kept the standing and seated figures. They just changed the name inscribed on the coin to their own. This shows how influential Parakramabahu's coin was. It became the standard model for Sri Lankan currency for over a century. The lion-type coin is one of the most recognizable and iconic artifacts from the great Polonnaruwa kingdom. The designs on Sri Lankan gold coins, were not just for decoration. Every symbol and image had a deep meaning, really. They were carefully chosen to send a message about the king's power, his wealth, and his right to rule. The main design of the standing and seated figure seen on Kahavanu and Masa coins is a great example. This design is believed to represent a king or a deity. The standing figure, holds several objects. One is a lotus flower, a symbol of purity and creation. Another is a lamp, representing light and wisdom. These symbols showed the king as a prosperous and enlightened ruler. The seated figure on the reverse of the coin is equally symbolic. The figure sits in a position of authority, like a king on his throne. This reinforced the message of royal power. The Nagari script used for the king's name was also a deliberate choice. Nagari was a script used in many parts of India and was associated with high culture and learning. By using this script, the Sri Lankan kings were placing themselves in a larger, international context of powerful rulers. It showed that they were not just local chieftains, but respected monarchs in the wider region. The entire design was a compact piece of royal propaganda. Even the small details on the coins had meaning. On the coins of King Parakramabahu the Great, the lion symbol was very important. The lion, or Sinha, is the mythical ancestor of the Sinhala people. The name of the country itself, Sinhala Dvipa, meaning the island of the Sinhalese, is linked to the lion. By placing a lion on his coin, Parakramabahu was making a powerful statement about his identity and his role as the protector of the Sinhala people and their kingdom. This symbol connected his rule directly to the island's most important cultural story. It was a symbol of national pride. Over time, some of these symbols changed, but their purpose remained the same. They were meant to convey legitimacy and stability. When people used these coins, they were constantly reminded of the king's authority and the kingdom's prosperity. The consistent design used by many kings over a long period also created a sense of continuity and tradition. It suggested that the kingdom was stable, even when rulers changed. The symbols on these tiny gold objects told a grand story of power, faith, and identity that was understood by everyone who held them. Gold coins were at the heart of Sri Lanka's economy during its golden ages. They were, the primary currency for large-scale trade. Merchants from Arabia, Persia, and China who came to Sri Lanka actually preferred to be paid in gold. The Kahavanu and Masa coins were trusted for their purity and weight, which made international trade smoother and more efficient. Large hoards of these coins have been found near ancient ports like Mantai, and this really proves they were used extensively in maritime commerce. These coins helped finance the import of luxury goods, like fine textiles and horses, and also the export of spices, gems, and elephants. But beyond trade, gold coins played a vital role in the religious life of the people. Buddhism was the state religion, and kings were its main patrons. Rulers donated vast amounts of wealth to monasteries and temples. Inscriptions found in ancient sites describe donations of thousands of Kahavanu coins. These donations were used to build large stupas, create beautiful statues, and support thousands of monks. For ordinary people, offering a coin at a temple was considered an act of merit. Small gold coins like the acre were perfect for such offerings. This practice connected the economy directly with the spiritual life of the nation. The government of the kingdom also relied on these gold coins. Taxes were collected, and soldiers and officials were paid using this currency. The ability of a king to mint large quantities of gold coins was a sign of a well-managed state. It showed that the treasury was full and the economy was strong. Historical chronicles like the Mahavamsa mention kings rewarding their loyal generals with gold coins. This use of coins helped the king maintain control and loyalty within his administration and army. The circulation of coins from the capital to the provinces helped unify the kingdom's economy. There are also legends and stories connected to these coins. One popular belief was that the coins brought good luck. The stylized figure on the coin was sometimes thought to be Kuvera, the god of wealth. People believed that keeping one of these coins would bring prosperity to their family. Hoards of coins have been found buried in pots under the floors of ancient houses, which suggests that people saved them as a form of wealth. But it might also show they were kept as sacred objects, hidden away for protection and good fortune. These beliefs really show how deeply the gold coins were embedded in the culture of the time. Sri Lanka's gold coins were not created in isolation. Their designs and standards were influenced by contact with other powerful regions, especially India and Rome. The earliest influence came from the Roman Empire. During the first few centuries CE, Sri Lanka had a very active trade relationship with Rome. Roman ships regularly visited the island's ports, and archaeologists have found thousands of Roman coins in Sri Lanka. These coins, made of gold, silver and copper, were familiar to the local population. The idea of using coins with a ruler's image and a standard weight was likely reinforced by this long exposure to Roman currency. The most direct influence on the design of Sri Lanka's first gold kahavanu came from South India. The stylized standing and seated figure motif was a direct copy of coins from the Pallava and Ganga dynasties. These Indian kingdoms were major powers during the 7th and 8th centuries. The Sri Lankan kings likely adopted this design because it was already a recognized and trusted symbol of value in the region. Using a familiar design would have made the new Sri Lankan coins easily acceptable to Indian merchants. It was a practical decision that helped integrate Sri Lanka's currency into the wider Indian Ocean trade network. While Sri Lanka borrowed designs, it also created its own unique identity. The kahavanu coins were struck to a specific local weight standard. Later, under King Parakramabahu, the addition of the king's name in Nagari script and the lion symbol were distinctively Sri Lankan innovations. In comparison, coins from the neighboring Chola dynasty in South India often featured a tiger and an umbrella. Coins from other regions had their own symbols. The Sri Lankan coins, with their blend of borrowed and local elements, really stood out. They represented a kingdom that was connected to the world, but also proud of its own culture. This pattern of foreign influence and local adaptation is a common theme in Sri Lankan history. The island has always been a melting pot of cultures. Its art, architecture, and language show influences from many different places. The gold coins are a perfect example of this. They show how Sri Lankan rulers were smart and practical. They adopted international standards to promote trade, but they also added their own symbols to declare their sovereignty and cultural identity. The coins are, honestly, a miniature map of Sri Lanka's historical connections and its unique place in the ancient world. The methods used to make gold coins in ancient Sri Lanka evolved over time. The first kahavanu coins were made using a simple but effective technique. This method is called die striking or hand striking. First, a small measured ball of gold, called a blank, was heated until it was soft. This hot blank was then placed on top of a lower die. The lower die was a piece of metal, usually bronze, with the design of one side of the coin carved into it. Then, an upper die, with the reverse design, was placed on top of the gold blank. The mint worker would then strike the upper die hard with a heavy hammer. This hand-striking process transferred the designs from the dies onto the gold blank, creating the coin. This method was fast, but it was not perfect. Sometimes the hammer strike was not centered, and this resulted in coins where the design is off-center. Sometimes the strike was not hard enough, resulting in a weak or incomplete image. That is why ancient coins from the same batch can look slightly different. Each coin was essentially handmade. The dies themselves would wear out after striking many coins and would have to be recarved. The quality of the coins depended greatly on the skill of the mint workers. As kingdoms like Polonnaruwa became more organized, the minting process likely became more standardized. There were probably central mints where quality control was stricter. The coins of King Parakramabahu, for example, are generally more uniform in weight and design than earlier coins. The metal itself also changed. While the first Kahavanu were made of solid gold, some later coins, especially those from the end of the Polonnaruwa period, were gold-plated copper. This debasement of the currency often happened during times of economic trouble or political instability. It was a way for rulers to make more coins with less gold. After the medieval period, the minting of local gold coins declined. European colonial powers, the Portuguese, Dutch, and British, arrived in Sri Lanka. They brought their own currencies and minting technologies. The hand-striking method was eventually replaced by screw presses and later by steam-powered machinery. These new technologies allowed for the mass production of perfectly identical coins. The era of the ancient, hand-struck Sri Lankan gold coin came to an end. Today, Sri Lanka's modern coins are made in state-of-the-art mints, a world away from the hammer and die of the ancient Kahavanu makers. The gold coins of ancient Sri Lanka are much more than just old money. They are a powerful connection to the island's glorious past. They are tangible pieces of history that were held by kings, merchants, and monks over 1,000 years ago. Today, these coins have a lasting legacy. They are highly valued by historians and archaeologists, and they provide crucial information about timelines, trade routes, religious practices, and the economy of ancient kingdoms. Each coin is, in a sense, a small historical document. The study of these coins, known as numismatics, continues to reveal new insights into Sri Lankan history. There is a strong interest in collecting these coins, both in Sri Lanka and around the world. In Sri Lanka, they are considered national treasures. Many of the finest examples are housed in museums, such as the National Museum in Colombo and the Polonnaruwa Archaeological Museum. These collections are carefully preserved for future generations. Private collectors in Sri Lanka also cherish these coins, viewing them as a link to their cultural heritage. The government has laws to prevent these important artifacts from being illegally smuggled out of the country, ensuring they remain part of the nation's story. Internationally, there is a growing community of collectors who appreciate the beauty and history of Sri Lankan coins. In countries like the United States, collectors of ancient and world coins seek out Kahavanu and Massa coins for their unique designs and historical significance. Major auction houses in America and Europe regularly feature these coins in their sales, where they can command high prices. Museums with world coin collections, like the American Numismatic Society in New York, often have examples of Sri Lankan gold coins. This international interest helps to promote Sri Lanka's rich history to a global audience. The legacy of these coins is a story of wealth, power, and culture. They remind us of a time when Sri Lanka was a major hub in the ancient world. For collectors, owning one of these coins is like owning a piece of that history. It is a connection to the great kings who built magnificent cities and the bustling trade that made the island prosperous. Whether they are displayed in a museum in Colombo or held in a collector's hand in America, these small gold discs continue to tell the grand story of Sri Lanka. They are, honestly, a timeless symbol of the island's enduring heritage.